Hi everyone, and welcome to another Microsoft Flight Simulator SDK tutorial. If you've been following along so far, you should have a basic airport created with runways, taxiways and parking, and it should be fully functional. But now we can start focusing on some of the little details of our airports, and in this tutorial I'm going to be going over how to use the terraforming tools in the SDK. So before we get started, it's worth noting that there's a useful option in the Options Ground menu called Altitude Isoline. So if we toggle this on, we get this black and white view here, and this just shows the altitude map of the world, and we can see around this airport it's quite flat. So this is the default airport as it is in the simulator without my custom airport added. And we can see here they've got some kind of flattening going on here. It raises up from the low point on the left to the right, and that carries on smoothly across the entire airport. So this is something similar to what we want in our airport. So I open up the project, we can see what it looks like for our airport. So this is the airport that I've created in the past few tutorials, and as you can see here, it's quite bumpy. You have some big hills going along the taxiway here, and in particular coming off the apron is quite a steep hill there. And that's not really what you want. So I'm going to just go over 3 of the main ways that you can add terraforming in the SDK. So there's 3 tools we can use to add terraforming. There's the polygon, there's the rectangle, and there's the runway itself. So starting with the polygon, if you go to the objects panel and select the polygon in the object type, click add there, and you get this little red cross on your cursor. You need to hold down the control key and then left click to draw out our polygon, similar to how you do for an apron. And then if we click enter to confirm that, we get our polygon here. Come over to the properties menu and click on the terraforming checkbox, and you'll see we get this dashed line around the polygon. So if we move the polygon up here, you see we start creating a hill. And the fall off distance allows us to set how steep we want the edge of this polygon to be. So if we set it at something low like 10, you can see the line moves in and we get a very abrupt hill. Whereas if we set it something larger like 1000, you can see the fall off now is all the way out here and we get a very smooth transition. So I'll just reset that to 200. Next is the rectangle. So if we go again to the objects panel and select rectangle and add, we get a rectangle. You can already see terraforming is enabled by default on rectangles, and we can see the fall off distance is all the way out there at 500. So if I move this up a little bit, you see we start making a hill. And again, we can change the terraforming. Making it lower is steeper, and making it larger is much smoother. So I'll set this at 200 as well. So like runways, with the rectangles you have these dots on the edges that allow you to change their size, so you can move length and width and also rotate them like so. Or you can use the gizmo if you want to do that. So with rectangles we can also use the profile editor to add some more shapes into our terraforming rectangles. So if we select the rectangle, go to the properties and click add profile, you can see here we've got this window popped up, the profile editor. So I'm just going to reset the view on this. Now what you want to do is click add new point and just click somewhere in the canvas down here. And you can see on the rectangle over there, the orange line down the middle is moving around as I move the profile editor around. So if I just raise the canvas size a bit, you'll be able to drag this up, and as we can see that starts raising up and making a smooth transition around there. And we can add another point in here to make a complex shape and drag that down. We can make some interesting shapes with these. And a final way that you can use polygons and rectangles is by intersecting them. So if I drag this one over here, you'll see it starts interacting with the polygon that we created before. And these numbers here correspond to their priorities. So if we were to increase the priority of this polygon here, that would take priority now over the rectangle and start cutting into the rectangle as we drag it around like so. And vice versa, if I was to lower the priority back down, now the rectangle takes priority. So you just have to fiddle around with priorities and intersecting shapes to get some more complex terraforming happening. So the final tool that you've got for terraforming is the runway itself. So if we select that here and go to the properties panel and open terraforming, we can see we've got a fall off distance and again a profile editor. So this works the same way as the rectangle did there. So if we add a new point in here and select that, and I'll just move it down to the secondary area of the runway and move this up like so. And we can see once this updates, we start getting a hill made on the runway. So this is useful if you've got the charts for your runway. It might specify runway elevation points, so you can add those into the profile editor and make your runway exactly how it is in the real world. One of the most common things you need to do with the terraforming tools is just to flatten out your airports. So as we saw earlier with my airport, it's quite bumpy and hilly around some areas, and I just want to make that nice and smooth all over. So to do that, we want to take the polygon tool, just click add here, and then you want to trace out the area of your airport. And like before, just hit enter to confirm that polygon. So if we enable terraforming here, we can see we get the dashed line. I'm going to set that a little bit higher, 500 maybe. And I'll enable the isoline view, just so we can see what's going on. So we've got this nice flat area over here, and you'll notice it is intersecting with the runway a little bit strangely here, so you just want to make sure that it's on the same height as your runway. So that's a little bit better. It's a bit glitchy, this view, but you can generally see now I've got this massive flat area around here. And if you wanted to adjust some areas within here, so say we wanted to make the apron a little bit higher, again you can add a polygon or a rectangle to this, and then adjust that, and enable terraforming. As you can see, it's not doing anything at the moment because we need to increase the priority of that. So if you're happy with your terraforming, you need to make sure you go ahead and save it. So we'll just come over to the scenery editor and click Save Scenery. It'll open up a new save box here. So you want to go to where you saved your other data and just make sure you call this something different from your current files. So if I open up my package here, let's go into the package sources here. You can see I called my previous file EGCN airports, and make sure you call it something different from that. I'm just going to call it EGCN shapes and click Save. As you can see, that saves a load of new files there and also another XML file, and that's why it's important to call it something different from your previous scenery file so that it saves properly. You should now be able to go ahead and build the project and just make sure that everything works there. As we can see down here, finished, 0 skipped, 3 done, 0 failed. So that's all fine. So that's how you can change the landscape around your airports using the terraforming tools. If you've got any questions or if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover in future videos, do let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, thanks for watching.